Namaste. I am actually pretty sad to say that when I was teaching at the studio yesterday, it was such a beautiful practice. And this class is not going to be able to be completely replicated from that experience because, as you know, when you're in a certain space and when you're around certain people and you're doing a practice collectively, it has and holds a different energy. Spirit can run through you as far as gifting you inspiration at different times in different ways. And I really felt like Spirit was with us yesterday. So unfortunately, it did not record. So I really want to record this practice. And it's about honoring the ancestors. So over this past weekend, I offered my first ever mini retreat based on honoring the ancestors and healing ancestral patterns and wounds. And this blissful flow practice is going to be dedicated to honoring the ancestors. Obviously, we can't do what we did at the retreat because we had an altar that was based on the 4 cardinal directions. We had Hindu deities representing this. We had flowers that we were offering the ancestors. We had rice that we were offering the ancestors. We had tokens and special mementos of either photographs or books or jewelry that belonged to those past loved ones that we placed on the altar. And we went around the circle sharing stories, lighting a candle, and calling them to us. It was magical. And the second half was dedicated to releasing, after we were acknowledging what the negative patterns or karmic things that have been passed down from generation to generation. So with this particular practice, we're going to be honoring. And the first thing I want us to do is sit up on top of a bolster. Sit cross-legged. And I want you to place your left hand over your heart and your right hand on top of that with your thumbs touching. Sit with the spine erect. Close and shield your eyes. And begin to mindfully breathe. Opening up the passageway of the breath with the inhale as well as the exhale. Notice where your hands are resting. The chest lifting as you breathe in. Slightly sinking as you breathe out. Keep that breath rolling and maybe even notice your internal heartbeats. Consider your bloodline. Consider your family of origin or the family that may have adopted you and took them in as your own. Consider your ancestral ties, your ancestral roots, as you sit and breathe. We all know and recognize things are passed down from generation to generation, not just within our DNA, but within lifestyles, within ideology, and so on and so forth. We may have family members we conflict with, but I want you to consider the ones you align with. the ones you resonate with. Anyone who may have had a positive impact or influence on your life or livelihood. And continue to breathe. I want you to think of one ancestor or member that you want to call in, that you wish to honor today. And please know this person may still be living or may have passed on. Call their energy to you and maybe picture them in your mind's eye or hold them in your heart. They may even show up in your dreams. This is a time of the year when the veil is thin between the physical and the spiritual planes. And this is recognized in many cultures, in shamanism, even in astrology. You may be considering the Day of the Dead, of which I'm filming today, that's celebrated in places like Mexico or in indigenous tribes. But really, this is celebrated in different cultures all over the world. Once you draw this person towards you, bow your head in gratitude. And then draw your hands to prayer position and say, thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's dedicate this practice to them. And lift your head up, lace your hands together, reach the palms up in the air. Feel that elongation in your side body, the pick-me-up in your belly, the lift in the chest, the spaciousness in the spine. And then lower your left hand down, keep the right arm overhead, create a side bend, and breathe. With their presence surrounding you and supporting you, affirm strength and courage fills up my body cells. Inhale, draw it up. Exhale, take the right hand down, the left arm overhead. Opening up the breath of life. Appreciating the gift that they brought to your life. Inhale, bring it up. Exhale, slide that bolster away. We are going to use a strap today, and we're going to lower down to our backs. We're going to take that strap around the ball of the right foot and extend it skyward, lengthening the left leg on the floor, pushing down through the left thigh bone, and pressing out through the left heel. Have a very loose grip on the strap so your shoulders can nestle onto the earth. Find your edge of flexibility here. We're starting with Padangusthasana. Look up at the right foot, and if your foot is tilting one way or the other, push equally through the mound of the big toe and pinky toe. so the foot looks level and even. The bottom of the foot facing upward. Take both ends of the strap into your right hand. Lower the left hand to your left hip. Sail the leg off to the right side and let the foot hover above the floor. Keep your pelvis neutral. Check in with your inner thigh. And if you want a little extra, push the mound of the big toe of the right foot into the fabric of the strap. Now that we're in Padangusthasana B, lift the leg overhead, swap hand hold with the strap, lower your right arm, go ahead and roll to your left hip. Taking the twist, working the IT band, and if you want a little more, push the pinky side of the right foot into the strap. We're starting off working with the legs, and we're going to emphasize the legs and the hips today. These first two chakras go back to our family of origin, our past conditioning, our survival skills, our sense of safety, our ancestral roots. And the second chakra is based on relationships, money, feelings of lack or abundance that can be passed on generation to generation. Inhale, roll back to center. Exhale, bend the right knee. Move the strap over. Take your hands to hold the shin, to pull the knee towards the right side of your chest, or to wrap the hands around the foot and gently pull here. So hopefully you feel some contact between your leg and torso. Now we're going to let the left knee slip away to the right side. And we're going to pull down more with the hand. We're going to elevate the left leg, point the toes. We're going to scoop in through the belly and lift the head. And moving ourselves into lightning boat pose. From lightning bolt pose, lower the left foot. Bring the right foot across your chest. Take it into your left hand. Now you can just be here, or you might be able to hook the elbow around it to cradle the leg completely and lower the head. A supine form of pigeon. After your next out breath, release the right side. Notice a difference now between the right and left. We're going to take this sequence over. So bringing your left knee towards you, wrapping the strap around the ball of the foot, and sailing it in midair. Activate your right leg and foot. A light grip on the strap, shoulders hanging down. Breath filling up. Evenness in the top foot as you beat the strap. So at the studio yesterday, I had a whole playlist for this sequencing. And the playlist was centered around mantras to Ganesha. And Ganesha is the elephant-headed deity in Hinduism from the Indian culture. Ganesh is said to be the ruler of the pelvic floor or the root or base chakra. He's considered the remover of obstacles. And we focused on that with healing ancestral patterns. Once you have remained in Padangusthasana A, we'll take it to B. Hold the strap with your left hand. Send it to the left side of your body. Hold the right hip down. And if you want a little extra, push into the mound of the big toe. Thich Nhat Hanh used to say, when you meditate, you create a ripple effect towards the people of yesterday and the people of tomorrow. And in this instance, the ancestors of the past and the descendants yet to come. Bring that leg overhead. Swap your hand hold. Go ahead and swirl into the twist. And if you want a little more, reach through the pinky toe side of your left foot. Holding that particular person in your heart or mind's eye, thanking them for their gift and their presence with you today. All you have to ask is their soul. Unroll from the twist. Bend the knee so that it's coming down towards your heart. You can move the strap over. You can hug and pull on the shin. You can take a hold of the foot and draw it down. Hopefully making some contact so there's some compression as you breathe. Another simple thing you can do to honor the ancestors, if you have a picture of them, you can simply light a candle. You can say a prayer. Let the left knee now slip off to the left side. Notice how the hand can pull it down more once it drops away. Lightning bolt next. Pick up your right leg, point the toes, pull in through the belly, activating your core. Right hand, and bring that foot over. You can lower the right foot. You can cradle that leg. You may need to keep the head up, but see if you can rest it on the floor. A supine form of pigeon. This will prep us for the real pigeon later in the practice. Good. Once you release your hold, stand down on your left foot, let your right foot join the side, roll to your right side body, and be here. Activating the left nostril. That's led by the right hemisphere of the brain. The more intuitive, the bigger, broader perspective, the more euphoric and creative center. opening more space for the physical heart. Now push down through your left palm, bring it on up. And we're going to come to stand with 2 blocks at the front of the mat. So once you come to stand here, bring your hands to prayer position. Lift your arms overhead. Exhale, release. And hinge down to your Uttanasana, attempting to keep the legs extended and straight. Bowing over and down. And it's nice that we've already opened the legs a little bit. But feel free to affirm nothing and no one on this earth can hold us down or back. I'm using the example of this ancestor I honor as inspiration to move forward in life. Let's take a hold of the blocks, set them alongside each foot. Step back with your left foot and lunge the knee. When you lunge the front knee, stack it with precision over the ankle. And notice how our tendency is to dump the weight into our hands. Instead, I want you to really pressurize the right foot. And when you do that, you'll notice there's less weight in the hands. You can even take your right hand to feel the hamstrings contracting. You might have sensed your hips and pelvic floor lifting. But then start to bend the back knee. Take your hands to your hips and slowly erect the spine. Feel what's happening in the iliopsoas on the left hip. Reach the arms up overhead. We're going into crescent lunge. Power back through the left thigh. Lift up energetically. Gaze at one spot for better balance. Draw your hands now to your heart. Twist to the right. Lower the left elbow on top or to the outside of that front knee. Then dial the heart more towards your thumbs. Notice how that right hip starts to squeeze in. And then gently stay in the twist and lower the left knee. But keep your back toes curled. Unwind from the twist, set your hands back to the blocks, face the front of your mat, and really dig your back toes, pushing it into the mat. Notice the activation, the contraction, and strengthening of the left quads. Untuck the back foot, and when you're ready, flex the right ankle, walk the blocks back. You're in a half split or half Hanumanasana. From here, jut the right toes back. If you want to fold, I want you to try this out. Walk the blocks ahead. Lengthening the arms can help to lengthen the back. So in other words, we don't want to round it out like a cat stretch. Shine the heart out towards your toes. As you descend, as you breathe, affirming as you hold. I choose to dwell within infinite possibilities. We often think as our loved ones pass on, they're no longer available, but that's simply not true. All you have to do is ask, and they will draw near. They probably already are. In fact, you can even ask for signs and synchronicities, and you'll be amazed at what happens. Bring your left hand down to the floor. Sweep the right arm up towards the sky. Making this twist, pushing back through the tailbone. Exhale, bring the right hand to the block, and this is what we're going to do. We're going to take that block, slide it behind us so that we can sit down on it, which makes it easier for the left knee and the front of the foot. All right, inhale, lift the arms overhead. Exhale, we're going to pour down into a forward fold. But I want you to stay mindful of this right knee because there's no padding underneath it. Keep a little soft bend in the knee as you drive yourself into the forward fold. That way you're protecting that joint, not forcing the leg straight or hyperextending the knee. Affirming here, left and right, and all around, life's harmonies are mine. Inhale, come up. Exhale, we're gonna try to move that block and see if we can sit inside of that left foot. You may feel slightly lopsided, that's normal. If you want a blanket up underneath to make it more even, that's okay. We're gonna take the hands behind us, we're gonna lean into the palms. This time we're stretching out the quads. You can also turn the hands to face forward and drop down to the forearms. You can also lay all the way back if that's in your realm of possibilities. Even though I typically roll back, I'm staying put today. If it strains your neck to keep the head facing forward, you can always take it back a few notches so you're looking up towards the ceiling. Please don't jackknife it back. Inhale, come back up. It's okay if you're still sitting on a block. You can still do this with me. Slide your right foot towards you. Hands turn back to face the wall behind you. You're tucking the tailbone or lifting off the block, staying on the left shin and foot. Lean your head back again. Push away from your hands. Again, a nice quadricep stretch. I mentioned yesterday, because this is so focused on legs and hips, this is also a great practice for runners. If you don't want to work with the spiritual aspect of honoring the ancestor, you can just work with the physical mechanics, and it would be a great complement to your run. Let's lower the sits bones down, slide the right leg out, bring this block with as you shift your body back into a half lunge. This time we're sinking down through the hips and the pelvic floor. Less weight in the hands so the shoulders can droop. Few deep breaths before we carry on. Now we're getting right into it today. There will be a flow, more like a vinyasa, after we do the second side. So let's curl the back toes under, step the foot through, bow over and down. Uttanasana. Create any modifications that you need at any point along the way. All right, inhale, step back with your right foot. Again, notice the weight in the hands. We are so dependent on the hands. But I want us to put that reliance in the feet. So press through the left foot. Notice how that changed things up. Come to the fingertips, let your heart be in the lead. Bend the back knee, stack the hands to your waist, and then shoulders over hips. Feel the work here. And then frame the face with the arms. Push back through your right thigh bone, crescent lunge. Exhale, hands to heart, rotate to your left. Spin the navel up over the thigh, spin the heart towards your thumbs. Stay in this rotation, stay in this revolving side angle, but lower and tip down to the back knee. Keep the back toes curled. Unwind from the twist. Press into the right foot. And now untuck the back toes. Rock your hips back. Elevate the top of the left foot. Extend long through the vertebrae. And if you want to fold and go deeper, step the blocks ahead. Keep the spine extended. And bow. Breath control. About this aspect of being humble and reverent, honoring the ancestor you called in to be present with you today, the person you want to dedicate your practice to. And it's okay if it's an in-law. It doesn't have to be directly from your line. And please remember, a lot of us look at friends and community as being our family. Take the left block, slide it behind you so you can sit on it. Once you have that platform, arms overhead, we're coming forward again. Little soft bend in the knee so it's not hyperextending. Highly encourage you, if you have this spiritual approach and idea that your family members who have passed on, or people that you looked at as family that you're honoring today, if they have passed on, it is possible to have a visitation with them. Sometimes you might even hear something whispered in your ear. Again, like a visitation in a dream, or maybe look into mediumship. Find a medium who can perform energy work, or someone you can hire to be the communicator between the two of you. It's pretty amazing. It's pretty awesome. You can write letters. You can talk to them out loud. Inhale, start to come up, and we'll test the waters. Let's move the block over. Let's see if we can sit on the inside of the right foot. Instead of folding forward again, we're actually going to go backwards. So walk your hands behind you, lean into your palms. You can even build up a slide with a bolster or put a bolster underneath your back. There's different ways of doing it, but this is just my suggestion today. Stack into the forearms, finding a comfortable position for your head and your neck, or taking it all the way down to the shoulder blades. And maybe be contemplative on why you're honoring this particular person. Are they like you? Were they just kind? Were they fascinating to be around? Did you hear some good stories? You may or may not have even met this person, but feel that tie or relationship to them. Let's slowly lift back up. Coming forward to the half lunge as we did before. Sinking the hips in the pelvic floor. The pelvic floor goes back to the root chakra. The reproductive organs go back to the second chakra. All right, we're going to curl the back toes under, step forward and up. Uttanasana. And then from here, we're going to carry on. So let's inhale, step back, downward facing dog. In your downward facing dog, I want you to lift your left leg skyward. I want you to exhale, come forward to flying plank. Inhale, be here. Exhale, lower to flying chaturanga. Lower your left foot and tuck your right. Inhale to up dog. Exhale, curl the right toes under. Sail back with the left leg up in the air. And then bring that left knee and shin just behind the hands. Slide your right leg back behind. And we're coming down to pigeon. Feel free to go as low as you can go. If that doesn't change or alter your breath, I'm going to give you some quiet time here to reflect on this person, the influence or impact they've had upon you, or simply why you want to honor and dedicate your practice to them. Next in-breath, let's walk it back in. As we exhale, we're going to turn to the right side. Now, this is something I want you to be mindful of. If you have a tendency to flop onto that left hip, I want you to stack a block or blanket underneath for stability, because we're going to look back over our shoulder as if we were looking into our past history. And you're going to pick up the back foot, and you're going to find that foot holding on to the big toe side and gently drawing it in like a lever. So these is like our heartstring is attached to this person from the past. And I want you to even think about, it could be something that maybe you did not admire about a person. And we tend to not think about honoring the people that were challenging necessarily, but what if that challenge or the mishap of that person, if that person's behavior actually taught you how not to be, and then you set it in your heart to be nothing like that person because of maybe you, that wasn't the way that you wanted to live. All right, let's release that foot. Rock forward, lower down, chaturanga. Inhale, build to upward facing dog, pelvis off the floor. Exhale, roll back over your toes to downward facing dog. Now we're back here so that we can lift the right leg up. Exhale, flying plank, shoulders stacking over hands. Inhale, be here. Exhale, come down, flying chaturanga, lower your right foot, untuck your left foot. Build into your back bend, but curl the left toes under. Crank the right leg up as you take down dog. Exhale, bring the right knee and chin behind your hands. Inhale, slide your left leg back. Exhale, bring it on down to your level or degree. Sharing with the group yesterday, or maybe it was at the retreat, I can't remember. When I was a flight attendant, I really loved my job and I loved catering to people. But there was a point where I had gotten several flights in a row to Paris, and I had taken my parents to Paris and didn't have the best experience with Parisians. And nothing against French people, but we had bad experiences with people being rude. And I know some Americans can be really obnoxious. So I didn't take it to heart at first. But when they were rude to my mother, that's when I took it to heart. And we were leaving the country, and I was getting everything fixed in the galley, preparing it for the flight. And, there's no service prior to takeoff. And someone had come to the back, and they asked me for a beverage. And I just looked at them and did the same thing and did the same treatment that I didn't like while I was in Paris. And it was turning my nose up and going, nope. And as soon as that passenger walked away, it wasn't a big deal. They didn't complain or anything. But I had a moment where I thought of my grandfather and how my grandparents were beautiful people, never spoke ill of anyone, were very beloved in the community, and he had passed on. And anyway, I got this vision of my grandfather, and I thought, oh my goodness, if he's with me right now or looking down on me, he saw me being rude to that person. And it forever changed how I conducted myself on the airplane when I was in uniform. From that moment on, no matter how many years I'd been flying, and I flew for about 12 and a half years, even though there were moments and days I was jaded, people thought, especially million-mile flyers, thought I was a brand new flight attendant because I was so nice. And it was all to do with being reminded of my grandfather and how he treated people. So let's walk the hands in. Again, if you need something to step underneath that right hip so that you don't flop over, do that. Otherwise, stack on your hands, gaze over the back shoulder. Pick up the back foot. Think about your heartstrings. Positive influence or inspiration they might have shared in your past that you're bringing to the present, that you can carry forward into the future. All right, let's release that back leg. Let's stack onto the hands. We're going to do one more vinyasa, stepping into plank. Rock forward, lower down, chaturanga. Inhale to up dog. Exhale, back it up to down dog. And in downward facing dog, since we've been working on the legs, I want us to focus here on sitting your sits bones higher, rolling your thighs inward, and maybe push down through your outer heels. I don't always suggest that, but since we're working root chakra today, come down to your knees. Slide your legs out in front. And I want you to set up a slide, which is going to be our final inversion. You could also do legs up the wall. I just don't have any space because I left my chairs in here today. But set up the slide. Scoot forward to send the legs up. Roll down to your back. I know this was a more gentle style of blissful flow. But the theme is important. We're going to maintain the theme, honoring our ancestors by placing that special person in our mind's eye or in our hearts. thanking them for being who they are. And just be in their presence. Remembering this is who you dedicated your practice to today. Feel free to take a longer Shavasana by pressing the pause button. Otherwise, inhale, stretch your arms overhead. Exhale, draw the knees into the belly and chest. Roll to one side of your body. Pick yourself up. Establish your seats. Left hand over heart, right hand on top of that. Sending your thanks and gratitude to this ancestor that you've chosen to honor today. Joining the palms together to prayer and sending them, thank you, thank you, thank you. Namaste.